Come, ye children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. God is generous and forgiving, but God grew tired of all humanity's sin and became a vengeful God. We now have nighttime, and we see a man fall from a very high spot, landing in a back alley somewhere in Los Angeles. The fallen angel is named Michael. Michael took out a large knife and cuts off his own wings, causing a blue halo to close around him and removing a large metal collar from around his neck. Michael looks across the street at a Chinese warehouse and heads toward it. Michael crashes through the glass ceiling. Michael grabs a medkit from inside the warehouse and stitches up the wounds where his wings were removed. A shipping container crammed full of guns. He starts to grab several rifles off the walls and walks out of the container with 2 large duffel bags. 2 cops are on patrol in their squad car and talk about how bad things have been, and that this city is about to explode from all violence and evil. But before they can continue, Michael comes out of the store, carrying the 2 large duffel bags of ammunition. The cops try to apprehend him, but he is caught in an arm lock and pointing a pistol at the other. And the officer pointing the gun at Michael begins to shake violently. Once the cop stops shaking, he has noticeably different black eyes and a mouth full of pointy shark-like teeth. The possessed cops shoot the other cop, then Michael killed the possessed cop. He grabs his handguns and drives off in the squad car. As Michael leaves, the city of the apocalypse is in darkness. At the Mojave Desert, in a diner gas station, where a group of locals work, including Charlie, an unwed pregnant woman who works as a waitress. Charlie talks with Jeet, and it's clear that he has feelings for her and wants to take care of her and her baby, even though she doesn't seem to return his love. Inside the diner, Jeet's father, Bob Hansen, is attempting to repair an old 60s-era TV by slapping at it, while the chef, Percy Walker, teases him about getting a new one.
This is gonna be it right here.
Howard and Sandra Anderson and their daughter Audrey are stuck at the diner waiting for their car to be fixed. Sandra complains to Howard about their daughter's clothes too scantily clad. Bob finds Jeet refinishing an old crib in the garage instead of replacing it and reprimands him for it. Jeet claims that he knows Charlie doesn't love him, but that taking care of her and her baby is something he should do. Bob tells Jeet that he once had a dream to do something else. Started a gas station diner in the hopes of profiting when a shopping center was planned across the road. However, the plans were scrapped and Bob was left with a company out in the middle of nowhere. His wife left him and Bob is able to love his son and not want him to pursue a dream, only to realize it is a dead end too late, but he eventually relents and tells Jeet to just finish building the car. Kyle Williams is driving along the highway, but has become lost and ended up at the diner. Charlie is there when he meets her, making small talk and pulling a cigarette off her. Charlie returns to work, and Kyle looks for a phone since his cell phone has stopped working. The TV also stops working around this time. After a smattering of hits, the TV jumps to the emergency broadcast signal, the "This is not a test," with a squeaky beeping sound. Percy attempts to use the radio, but gets the same signal. Kyle talks with his ex-wife, and they are apparently in a custody fight over his son. The phone stops working. A car stops at the front and emerges a little old lady. Charlie greets the old woman and orders a nearly raw steak. Charlie returns with the steak, and the old lady asks her about her baby. After a few more questions,
I don't need a man telling me what to do.
What about the baby? But it's gonna burn.
What'd you just say?
I said baby's gonna burn.
Go to hell, Abe.
All those little babies are gonna burn.
Sandra yells at her and says she only complains when she confronts her.
Shut up, you stupid. All you do is complain, complain, complain.
Howard confronts the old woman as well, but the woman lunges at him and takes a bite right out of his neck, causing him to bleed out on the floor. Percy throws a frying pan right at the old woman with black eyes, sharp teeth, knocking her out. However, the woman rises up and crawls straight up the ceiling. Bob grabs his rifle and tries to shoot her, but he is too slow and knocks him out. Jeet grabs the shotgun and attempts to shoot her, but just can't get him to do so. The possessed woman is about to lunge at Jeet, but is struck by several gunshots from Kyle, who was carrying a handgun. After a lot of frantic exchange about demons and their inability to call for assistance, they decide to place Howard in the only remaining vehicle and drive him to the next town. Howard, Sandra, Audrey, Percy, and Kyle board the car, while Bob and Jeep are left to decide what to do with the corpse. Audrey notices a strange cloud, but Kyle dismisses it as a storm or something. The cloud seems to be moving, apparent that it is not a cloud but a swarm of flies. Pass through the air conditioning, go outside to see the others return and back into the diner as they avoid the flies. The group decides to stay put until they can call for assistance. Bob spots a police cruiser out in the distance, pretending that it has finally arrived, except that it isn't a cop but Michael. Bob points his pistol at Michael and demands to see his teeth. Michael complies and takes the pistol from Bob and points it at him. Michael senses something and returns the rifle to Bob, who then arms everyone else with the weapons he had brought from law. He informs them that they are coming.
Yeah.
Michael informs them that they will be here soon and that they will be defending themselves. As the sun sets, the men climb up to the roof. They hear a sound from the distance as they approach an ice cream truck. The ice cream man gets out of the truck and is apparently possessed, and yells at the diner. Michael takes aim and shoots it down. A great number of cars pass over, all stuffed with possessed people. Just come over a few moments. Michael orders them to fire, and they do, causing many cars to swerve and explode. Michael whips out a rocket launcher and takes out a large number of them, as well as a truck carrying large pipes, thereby obscuring the roads a bit. Michael yells to the others to discourage the possessed from approaching the diner. Audrey, Sandra, Charlie, and Howard are all downstairs, hiding among the diner's tables, but one of the possessed crashes through the window and grabs Howard, trying to drag him out. Charlie tries to help Sandra and Audrey, but is almost taken herself by one of the possessed until Michael slices off the man's hand and charges them with a lot of bullets. Howard was taken. Everyone is confused and afraid until Michael reveals that he is there to protect Charlie and her unborn child, and that the possessed who assaulted them were not demons but angels sent by God. Charlie's baby is the key to humanity's survival, and they must protect her until the child is born. Jeep and Michael are attempting to fortify the diner down in the basement, and Jeep asks Michael why he is helping them, especially if it means violating heaven's laws. Michael tells Jeep that when God first made man, he was the first to bow down before them, because, like God, he loved humanity. And though God has given up on them, Michael hasn't given up. Michael has a quick look back at his time in heaven as he talks with Gabriel about God's decision to abandon humanity and start over. Michael defends his decision openly, claiming that it is what God wants, but not what he needs. As morning approaches, Sandra wakes up and hears her husband's voice. She follows the voice to the window at the rear office and sees that Howard is still alive, tied upside down to a cross.
Andy, help me! Help me!
Sandra pushes the barricade aside to get to her husband, even as Audrey and Percy try to stop her. She makes it outside and it appears that Howard has large pulsing boils all over his body and is about to explode. Percy grabs Sandra just in time and pushes her back into the diner, but is covered in spray from the exploding Howard. The others arrive at the office to watch as Percy falls to the ground dead, having had his entire backside melted off by some kind of acid. Sandra is held to a chair, while Audrey gives her a cream to help her relax. Since Audrey was moving to another town, Sandra blames them. Audrey is devastated, but she copes with it. Kyle and Audrey are on guard up on the roof, and Kyle teaches Audrey how to use a pistol. Audrey knows how to do it. She's the rebellious type, mainly to gain attention from her parent. Kyle notices a van approaching the gas station. Kyle aims his pistol at it, but soon discovers that it is a survivor of the apocalypse and his son. The man is just trying to get some gas. The man doesn't see them coming until Kyle fires into the air to alert him, but it's too late, and the boy is taken. Kyle reaches down and tries to save him. The child was also possessed, and he bit into Kyle's neck. Audrey notices this and rushes towards Kyle, but runs out of ammo as she approaches Kyle and manages by locking herself in a minivan. She will do it if he doesn't do something. Michael arms up and orders the staff to close the door just long enough to allow him to enter. Michael goes outside and demolishes many of the possessed, then sprays gasoline on the rest, sets them on fire, and saves Audrey. After a bit of a gunfight, all the possessed are killed or scared, except for one, the child that Kyle attempted to save. Charlie is attacked by the possessed child, who almost succeeds, but she is pushed off with a dinner tray until Michael can get rid of him. Charlie's water broke. Audrey is given the responsibility of assisting with the childbirth, while everyone else is on guard. The outside is now covered by the possessed. As the child is born, it begins to cry, which seems to bring great pain to the possessed. Later, a massive bellowing horn is heard, and Michael tells them they are going to leave. But Michael informs them that since the child was born, none of the possessed can even approach him, but that because something more powerful is coming to claim the child, Gabriel. Sandra and Audrey reconciles their differences. Sandra believes that all the possessed want is the child, and decides to give them what they want. Sandra grabs the child and heads for the door, while Michael aiming his gun at her head. Another horn is heard and the door behind Sandra glows wide. Michael shoots Sandra, causing her to drop the baby, but the Jeep is close enough to catch it. Gabriel swoops at Jeep and the baby. Bob tries to shoot at Gabriel, but Gabriel spins around and blocks the shots with his wings, bringing Bob into the kitchen. Michael encourages everyone to leave out back, but he holds back Gabriel, instructing Jeep to read the instruction. Michael confronts Gabriel and asks him not to continue, to let the child live. Gabriel will never disobey. It is evident that neither wants to fight the other, but they have no choice but to fight. And Michael shoots at Gabriel while Gabriel takes swings at Michael and wings. Michael is injured by Gabriel's wing but manages to put him in a headlock. Gabriel apologizes to Michael, and then stabs himself through the chest with a spike from his mace, which impales Michael as well. Gabriel is technically immortal, but Michael has become mortal by cutting his wings, and Michael dies. Gabriel warns him that if he loves humanity so much, he will die like them. As Michael dies, he becomes blue and burns up, disappears at the same time as the same tattoo-like marking that was on Michael's body appears on Jeep. Gabriel prepares to pursue the others, but passes Bob, who has disconnected the gas pipes and is now trying to light them. Bob ignites the gas before Gabriel can fly, causing a massive explosion. On the road, Jeep, Charlie, the child, and Audrey are on their way as mentioned on the radio earlier. As they get closer to the colony, slightly singed Gabriel crashes into the car's roof, attempting to reach the child. Audrey is able to hold Gabriel back and tells Jeep to hit the brake, kicking Audrey and Gabriel out of the vehicle and crashing the vehicle as well. Jeep, Charlie, and the baby are woken up. Audrey was killed, and Gabriel is missing. The remaining three go towards the mountain range where the survivors are supposed to be, but Gabriel appears to appear again as they climb up the mountain and pulls out his knife. Just then, a resurrected Michael comes down from heaven. That he was recalled because he did the right thing, that he gave God what he wanted, not what he needed. Gabriel abandons the mission because he no longer has a purpose. Michael returns to heaven as well, wishing Jeep much success. Jeep, Charlie and the baby drive to the settlement.